When you look at the budget of many of those Hollywood movies, you'll be shocked how much money they spend in producing one movie. You go online, because today you can go online and watch movies after they left the cinema, of course, or you can watch some cracked version, or you go to a cinema. You go there for a maximum of 2 hours and it's over. And you think, why are they spending so much money and effort in those movies? Because those movies shape your perception, they shape how you perceive things. They don't do it for fun, they do it to condition you. If you, well, okay, let me say it like this. In the 1920s, there were movies out already back then. Hollywood wasn't that dominant yet. But in their movies, you had many actors smoking. Smoking was presented to the public as a status symbol, a symbol that you're wealthy, that you belong to the well-off class. I won't say the middle class, but it means you're well off. So what happened? People were exposed to smoking actors so often, they developed a longing for smoking. So the tobacco industry grew because of it. There were folks saying smoke is not a good idea, but in people's minds, you already had this attitude that they were conditioned into, that smoking means you've made it. It means that you belong to the important people, because in movies you had important people that smoked. Now, since the 1990s, actually a bit before, but over time, people began to expose the side effects of smoking, how dangerous it is to your kids. I mean, in the 1970s, there weren't many laws against smoking in public spaces because parents used to smoke at home with their kids being there. And those kids grew up, and many of them had jobs and had families of their own. But did they turn out well? Well, they had health issues as adults they weren't aware of where those health issues came from. Those health issues came from their parents smoking when in their homes, and they were little kids and they smoked too. Because even if those children didn't have the cigarettes or the cigars in their mouth, they smoked together with the parent, with the one that was smoking. So that's why if someone would stand here, he would be smoking, I would be here, I would be smoking together with him. Over time, you had laws against smoking in some public places because they realized smoking is very bad. Today, the attitude changed. Many people can't stand smoking. Many people look down on smokers. And they even admit now that smoking is an addiction. Just like people that have an addiction to heroin or they have an addiction to alcohol, it's an addiction. It reduces stress, but at the same time, it endangers your lungs and other organs in your body. Why is it that people in the 1930s and 40s didn't look down on smoking? Some may have done, but why was the public not against smoking? Because they were conditioned by the movies. You understand what I'm saying? So your perception determines how you relate to yourself and those around you and to situations that you'll encounter in life. And who shapes your perception? What you encounter. When you were a small kid, it were your parents and those around you that shape your perception. Later in life, it will be your peers and others you encounter, or things you'll encounter that will shape your perception. That's why the big rulers of this world spend so much effort and so much money and so much time to shape your perception, or better said, to distort your perception. They're blurring your perception, or better, they're bewitching you, so that you will get along with their agenda. And many do. And now they themselves are exposing smoking for what it is. That's why in many movies lately you don't see many smoking actors anymore. Because now the hoax of smoking being this status symbol has been exposed. You still have a tobacco industry that makes much money, but they can't really promote this smoking hoax anymore. So now they themselves are breaking down the smoking hoax. That makes simple-minded people think, you know what? Why would the pagan rulers break down the smoking hoax, if they're the ones that stood behind it, a lot of people don't look further. They are breaking it down themselves so that you may think they are the good guys, even though they're the ones that initiated that smoking hoax to begin with. It's not only the smoking hoax, it's how it is with many things in the world. Your perception is shaped by things you encounter and by things you're, or better said, your perception is shaped by things you're exposed to over and over again. So, when you are watching the news, pay attention to the words. I'm not saying to do this all the time, but once in a while when you watch the news, because you have to be alert about what's going on around you. I'm not telling you to watch CNN or specific broadcasting centers, but just when you're watching the news or you're reading a newspaper, pay attention to the words you're using. The words you're using are chosen, have been selected carefully. All the words you're using is to shape your perception, is to put you in a certain direction. And most people aren't aware that they're being pushed into a certain direction. And the reason why it's so easy to push people in a certain direction is because people don't examine things. They don't. For example, let's say now that you walk in town and you see this poster asking for charity, and you see this picture of African babies, little babies that are starving. Let's say you see these things over and over again. In your mind, an association is built between people that are dark-skinned and poverty. So your mind is going to associate every dark-skinned individual you encounter with poverty, because you've been exposed over and over again with this association. Dark skin, poverty, not being able to care for themselves. And let's say that in the media, every time they show you a CEO or someone that accomplished in society is someone of a lighter skin tone. What's going to happen? If this happens to you over and over again when you're a small kid, especially when you're a small kid and growing up, your mind developed multiple patterns in which people with a light skin color are considered safe and trustworthy and desirable. So without you being aware of it, you have been conditioned to look down on people with a dark skin color, and you're not aware of it, but you'll begin to treat them in a lesser way. You may not be aware of it yourself, but you'll do it unconsciously because that's how you've been shaped. That's how that is your perception. That's how you've been formed. And because people over time hold on to what they've been conditioned to, their perception is shaped, and based on that shaped perception, they develop, or I'm saying, not to develop, they receive ideas that are in line with those perceptions, and people then hold on to those ideas. So if you would point out to them that their behavior isn't correct, that means you have to examine the ideas they're holding on to, and by doing that, you need to admit they've been conditioned. And a lot of folks don't want to go there. They just want to be left alone. They want to remain unchallenged. But I'm challenging folks. You have been conditioned by this world. A lot of things that people are battling, they're only battling them because they believe in them. Let me say it one time. A lot of things people are battling, I'm not just talking about individuals, also groups, they're only battling those things because they believe in their existence. For example, bad manners. There is no such thing as bad manners. Foul language. There is no such thing as foul language. Okay, what can I say? For example, privacy violations. First of all, privacy is not even an actual thing that exists. So how can you violate something that isn't even real? I could go on and on for hours. There's so many things people are struggling with, but if people just see through the deception, it will be over in an instant. I'm telling you, the black magic that the pagan rules are using on the population is powerful because they don't look beyond. There are some worldly people that look beyond and they realize eventually they need Christ, but then they back off because they themselves are still holding on to things of the world. I'm telling you, agree with Christ. Agree with Him, remain Christ-centered. Only then will you walk in the fullness of life. Be at peace.